So Fabian, in next 1 minute, we can start. So we are already broadcasting. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, greetings to everyone from the convention team. We hope you had several engaging sessions yesterday. For today, I'm your co-host along with my co-host Neelam from India. My name is Fabienne. I'm actually enrolled in a master's program in Paris, and I'm engaged in a lot of different care leaver projects since the moment I left care. And I'm also the vice president of the Austrian Care Leaver Association. Now, Neelam, it's your word. Neelam?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all dignitaries, guests, and attendees. I am Neela Udayan, one of the care leavers from India, Udayan Care. In Delhi, we care leavers have formed a strong network called CLAN to support other care leavers, and I am one of the members of this group. So today, I am delighted to extend my warmest welcome to each one of you for joining us on the second day of International Care Leaver Convention. Thank you again for joining. So let's begin the proceedings of the second day. But before we start, let me take you back to some of the key highlights from yesterday, especially for those of you who were not able to join us the other day. Yesterday, the first session was a very impactful sharing by the care leavers' experiences from different countries. We heard how the COVID pandemic has made our situation worse, but we also gained hope and strength from a range of global experts from UNICEF, ILO, UN Habitat, and UVA on what is possible and can be done to enhance and strengthen the care leaving processes. We hope you have been able to browse the booklet on care leaver studies that was launched yesterday. Also, we all were motivated by the talk delivered by Mark Riddle. In Professor Stein's session, we learned a lot about the policies and laws that must exist to support care leavers. Another most strong statement came from Fabian, my co-host today, who said, "Those who decide for our lives have not lived our lives." And I believe it's a very strong statement, and this must change. So now I will ask my co-host Fabian to introduce you to the further proceedings of today.
Thank you, Neelam, for this wonderful recap. Today, friends, we have two large sessions. The first one is on the International Declaration of Demands that has been developed by us 100 care leavers from across the world and supported by the 4 organizations in the organizing committee. The first session takes you through the entire process of how the declaration was formed, and we hear from a panel of policymakers and experts who will respond to the declaration. This is followed by the breakout sessions, where we have 5 interesting themes to engage with. So let's start the second day of the convention with the presentation of the declaration. For this session, we have with us Karishma and Nimo as moderators. Both Karishma and Nimo are members of the organizing committee of this convention and are supported by other members from the committee. So over to you, Karishma and Nimo. Welcome.
Thank you, Fabian. Hello to all the wonderful people on this virtual platform. Welcome again to the session. I am Karishma Singh from Clan of India, and I am your host for today's session. Just a second. And along with me, I have my two very wonderful co-hosts here, Nimo from Sri Lanka and Dr. Severine Thomas from Germany. Welcome, Nimo.
Hi, thank you, Karishma, and good evening to you all. I am Nimu from Sri Lanka and representing the Asian very first Caregivers network called Generation Never Give Up Network. Over to you, Dr. Shrami.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Severine. I'm not a caregiver, but I'm very glad to join you and these two nice girls to introduce you in this 12 in this 11 gaps of the declaration.
So thank you, Nimu and Dr. Severine. Today we have a very distinguished panel. On one side, we have caregivers from different regions who will be presenting their views on different gaps of the declaration.
Yeah, Karishma. And on the other side, we have 4 representatives for policy making from different countries, including Zimbabwe, Germany, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, and on this session. So we will welcome you all to the event. And over to you, Karishma.
Thank you, Nimu. So here I would like to share with you all that first International Care Leaver Convention was originally planned in March 2020 as a physical conference in New Delhi, India. There were 300 plus registration from 25 countries, but then COVID happened, but we did not stop because of COVID. We virtually kept connected. There were several webinars. We made our own global declaration with facilitation from the organizing committee of the Care Leavers Convention. Young people with care experience came together on a webinar on June 6, 2020. The webinar saw participation from over 100 care leavers from about 25 countries to explore and discuss the challenges faced by care leavers globally and how the COVID-19 outbreak has intensified their vulnerabilities and suggest recommendations to ensure care leavers feel supported. Post the conversation between the care leavers and the organizing committee continued through the months of June and July, and youth were able to expand on the existing international and national framework of support for children and youth in alternative care setting and develop the final declaration that identified 11 domains or gaps and offered recommendations specific to the issues affecting youth from alternative care settings globally. I would like to call out all the 11 gaps from the declaration. So 11 gaps which are highlighted by care leavers globally are financial security, housing, education, accessibility, career and employability, psychosocial support, health, nutrition and hygiene, legislative policy reforms, awareness and identity, participation, social network, inclusion, and social protection. I would also like to share with you all that this declaration has been supported and signed by care leavers from over 25 countries, and the same has been endorsed by care leavers organizations from different countries. I think you can see on the screen all the logos of different organizations and network of care leavers who are endorsing this declaration. With this, this was brief about the declaration. I hope it was helpful to all of you. Now I would like to share with you all that some care leavers could not join today's session because of their tight schedule. But the good news is we have videos from them. So from here, we are going to hear about different gaps of declaration from different networks of care leavers. And I am more than happy to welcome our first video representation from Poland on financial security, which is done by Konrad and Laura for all of you.
Kein Ton. Warum? Schreib mal in den Chat.
I think we can work a little bit around the sound. We are extremely sorry about this. I think we're working out so that we can hear.
Jetzt schreibe ich das again.
Hi Dorothy, once you are sharing your screen, there will be a pop-up. Select the window. It's
because I would have to
great.
go to another city. The living costs are too high there, and I will still have to work hard to achieve this goal.
Can we play the video from the starting so that we all can hear?
And work, I will have to keep working. Hi, my name is Konrad and I'm 18. I'm from Poland. I have been in a foster family for about 13 years. I live with my grandmother, mother, and two brothers. We live mainly on grandma's pension and mom's salary, which are not too high because the Balif takes part of them. So we never had too much money. The only help we receive from the state is about 448 euros for our whole family. I was never able to afford my family's whims. My grandmother has debts that amount to 11,184 euros. She took them when we were little because our parents couldn't support us. She borrowed to provide us with the minimum. Now she has debts that made her lose her job and which she won't pay for the rest of her life. My older brother is in college. He received scholarships for the first 2 years, but stopped. Why? It is not known, but this is not how the state should help. I have 2 jobs, and I go to school. I had to earn money by working really hard for a driving course and a car. Can you imagine a situation where your grandmother receives a pension of 200 euros a month, has to pay off loans, and in 2 days there is no money? Because that's how it is with me. I cannot afford it at all at the moment. In 2 years, I will go to college. Or maybe it's better if I say that I want to go to college. Unfortunately, I cannot afford it at the moment because I would have to go to another city. The living costs are too high there, and I will still have to work hard to achieve this goal. While working there, I will have to keep working, neglecting my studies, family, and friends. Where is the state? Shouldn't the state help people in my situation? It helps. We have the famous 500 plus program, but it applies to children up to 18 years old. So only my little brother gets 125 euros a month. It is even worse during the pandemic today. We have the highest inflation in the entire European Union. So the prices in the shops are much higher, as opposite to the salaries. The state should support foster families. The help it offers is not enough and short-sighted. We should take up the topic of financial support for foster families all over the world. There are thousands of us, and we need to be heard.
Hi, my name is Laura and I am 21 years old and I have been living in a shelter apartment in Wrocław for 2 years. I would like to raise the financial issues related to the Youth Support Center. In my opinion, despite the fact that we pay relatively little for this apartment, the condition in which we live often leads us to serious situations which cause our mental health in this apartment to decline. Some of us make the decision to move out, which is very difficult, especially since we are often not supported by our guardians. I moved out of such an apartment on my own, but financial problems and lack of outside help forced me to return, and no one wants to go back there. Often, young people leaving their place of residence immediately after turning 18 years old, various reasons, which means that we are not able to finish school, and in fact we are left without anything because getting help from our guardians is impossible. Money from the social welfare center is provided to study. After moving out, we should get a larger amount of money to start, which will be controlled, for example, by reserves. Summing up, continuing education is not a sufficient help for young people like me, and sheltered housing provides for further difficulties in relation to entering adulthood. Thank you.
Yes, where the state This is an important question Konrad asked, I think. We will discuss this today. And we see that financial security and housing are two aspects who are very important and influence fundamentally the transition from care to adulthood. It is important to have good conditions to succeed or fail in the transition. Nimi will now introduce us with a video about the situation of housing for caregivers in her country.
So, thank you very much, Dr. Severin, and I'm really happy that when I saw my house also. So I just want to thank you for all the DNG members in Sri Lanka and all the who are supported to make the video and also. So now I would like to invite Karishma to talk about the third gap, which is most important, which is education. Over to you, Karishma.
Thanks a lot, Nimu. I loved your presentation, I must say that. And I would like to talk about the gap education. Uh, and here I would like to start by one of my favorite quotes from Nelson Mandela. I quote here, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." But how? The question is how? Will you change anything when you are deprived of your fundamental right and the basic need in today's world? Education is a right of every child in India, and yet not every child is aware about this right. The question remains why. We all know that education system has become a business and how difficult and expensive it is to afford quality education. And going for higher education remains a dream for many young caregivers. Every job you apply requires a minimum higher school or senior secondary graduate certificate, which most of young caregivers don't have. When they enter in the residential care, they are of different age groups. Usually they enter between the ages of 10 or above. And most children come to residential care between the age groups of 14 to 16 years. They have little to no previous educational background, and even if they, have it, it's ruptured, and it is too late for them to start education from scratch. When they apply for admission, they have to provide legal documents, which they are unable to produce, like birth certificate, Aadhaar card, and many other legal documents. Also, if they do get admission, they have to leave the education midway because of various reasons like not being able to achieve well, bullying, mental pressure, or resurfacing of traumatic memories which bring their performance down. Talking about other reasons, shuffling or transfer from one residential care to other being other reason for their disrupted education. And in many circumstances where they manage to cope up with the academics, they have to discontinue midway because they turn 18 and they have to leave the residential care. This makes their future very uncertain and they have to go through added pressure. Hence, they end up picking up on skill-based courses enough to get job that can provide them shelter and food. All their lives, they work to sustain themselves and forget about fulfilling their big dreams of education or having a good life. In many scenarios, they have or they are unaware of the other possibilities that they can explore because they don't have that exposure to them. Also, during their stay in the residential care, they do not take decisions for themselves, and their decisions are being taken on their behalf by the caregivers or their guardians. They live in a very controlled environment where they are not given exposure of doing their own stuff. So many times they're being served, by their guardians or caregivers. So when they are in the residential care, many times they are not allowed because of the policies or because of their safety, going out with their friends and other get-togethers. This impacts their ability to take independent and critical decisions for themselves in future. The lack of exposure to the world at large remains restricted to them, and this also limits their opportunity and ability to apply and perform well in their trainings, internships, and work. They find it difficult to build relationships because they are not trained or given any exposure. This adversely impacts their overall development and career opportunities at large. They have to pick up small and low paying jobs enough to sustain themselves. Saving remains a question. And all this was heightened in the current COVID-19 scenario when the world went virtual. A lot of care leavers lost their jobs with no support system to fall back on. They were left on their own with no food, a place to live, and many were forced to drop out of schools and colleges. Many young care leavers had no money to apply for online courses which enhanced their skill and helped them in getting jobs. This left them in a very, very vulnerable position again. If we look at some of the recommendations, it is very, very important that the vulnerabilities and unique challenges of care leavers are recognized by the government. The first step towards would be recognizing the unique challenges faced by care leavers, respect and address their challenges. Affirmative actions by making special recognition allowances, special provision in school and universities, which acknowledge their background and supports them in giving education, internships, scholarships, trainings, and other opportunities for their overall development. For example, if I talk about India, we have provision for economically weaker section. But the challenge here is if you want to apply under this provision, you have to provide the university or the institution with your annual income certificate of your father, which care leavers don't have. Also, care leavers do not have any reservations system like other marginalized groups in India, which stops them from accessing quality education in renowned institutions. We have to add certain provisions to provide care leavers which they can use at the time of applying for schools, colleges, and universities in their native lands and abroad. And we have to make sure that these provisions are and must and should be accepted in every institution. Talking about how this could be done, it is very important that we are included in education and youth policies. Listen to us before you implement policies. Here I would like to talk about ICPS, which is the Integrated Child Protection Scheme, under which you get 2,000 rupees in India. And I would like to share with you all that it is very, very inadequate. In this amount, decent education is not possible, which gets used up for food, shelter, and other urgent or basic requirements. If I talk about UK and Ireland, they have special support department available for care leavers who are trained to understand their concerns and provide them with extra support. We also need something like that here in India and on other places where it's not available. Set up special support services for care leavers in universities with seats reservations if possible. Every country should have education fund for care leavers. And here I would like to end with saying that we must and must not forget that the youth is the future and we must invest in our future for a better world. Education breeds confidence, confidence breeds hope, and hope breeds peace. We hope to get all your support for a peaceful, educated, and aware world. Thank you so much for giving your time and listening to me.
Thank you, Karishma, for sharing your perspective on education with us. I think this is a very important topic. And now I will make some remarks about gap number 4, accessibility. Since the COVID-19 pandemic started, we could observe that the social environment and the resources of care leavers are extremely fragile. They often have no family support or only little networks to get through this crisis. Many young people suffer from mental strains the pandemic causes. They have no or bad access to care services now. Many social services did not work regularly in the first months of the pandemic or still could not offer contact or help. The access to social participation becomes more complicated. Financial security, we have already heard it, and all the other gaps we will be talking about later become bigger these days. The situation requires political action for care leavers, not just in times of the pandemic. COVID-19 just makes the difficulties of care leavers in all countries more obvious. That's why the lack of accessibility to resources care leavers have to be reduced. And that is what we would like to discuss now with 4 people from different countries. We invited, we framed them as policymakers, and I would ask you to give your camera free now so that everybody could see you. And we would like to come in a short discussion about these questions we put on the screen, to ask what you think, what could happen in your countries on a political level to change the situation of care leavers. And we have no specific order, but I hope that one of you will start to give us a short statement. So could you hear me? Are our 4 guests hearing me?
Yes.
Hi, Joseph.
I don't know. Who wants to start?
I think if you start, it would be great.
Okay. Okay. Hello. I'm deeply impressed about these presentations, and you're doing a really great job, I think. And it's quite important that you're doing this. I'm really impressed about these presentations. My name is Joseph Koch. I'm the Manager Director of FIZE Germany. This is an independent professional association of extra-familiar child and youth care in Germany, and it's the biggest foundation in this area in Germany. We have 2,000 members, NGOs, universities, youth welfare offices like that. And we are also moderating central expert panels in the field of foster care and residential care for the federal government. And that's the background for me. So let me point out 2 problems. We have a very good welfare system in Germany, you know that. But the discussions mostly focus on very young childs with child protection. And the young adults, the older ones are not in the focus. That's a problem. And we have a right for young adults, but the right in each community, they do it in another way, and it's not sure. These are 2 problems. There are a lot of maps, a lot of more. So let us talk about 4 points we try to influence the policymakers. First, we do several projects with the University of Hildesheim and the Care Leaver Union to build up good examples how you can support young people and to do very concrete proposals about that. And we gave this into the reports of the federal government. Second, we start at the beginning to work very closely with the Care Leaver Union in Germany. It's founded since 10 years about that. And we speak with them to the federal government to support them financially. And they succeeded for 2 years ago in this point. Third, we started discussion panels with politicians, and we tried to join the church. We need the church and the umbrella organizations of the youth welfare agencies in these parliamentary panels. And fourth, we started a new law. The federal government is built up a new law next year. It will be a new law, and there are written down many good things. Let me mention something: a coming back option, obligatory support of young people, and financial security for young people, You know, in Germany, you have to, if you are in residential care, you have to, and you earn money, then you have to pay this money to the authorities. But this new law changed this issue, and now it is planned that you only have to give to the state 25% of this money you earn. So these are a few remarks about the situation in Germany, and I think with guys like you, we can do we can do more all over the world. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Joseph, for your statement. I think we could hear that it is not easy, but there are options to influence policy in a short level and sometimes in a bigger way. And but we would like to hear others. How is it in your countries? And now I ask Mr. Chandrika Katiwada from Nepal if he would like to introduce us in his position. How does policy making take place in Nepal? Mr. Katiwada, do you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Chandrika Katiwada, an advocate, and have been working for promotion of the rights of the child by engaging in research, policy advocacy, education, and training. So I have been part of a couple of studies related to alternative care in Nepal. And I have also supported and advocated with local, provincial, and federal governments for policy making to ensure children's rights. Currently, I'm working as Director of Institute for Legal Research and Consultancy in Nepal. So we have a new law introduced in 2018, Children's Act. And that act has given the authority to Child Welfare Authority related to alternative care arrangements. And then it talks about, all the, child care service providers to support Child Welfare Authority for social reintegration of children having experiences, care experiences. At the moment, Nepal is in the process of drafting regulation for the Children's Act, and it is anticipated that the regulation would define some of the procedures and also elaborate some of the provisions of the Act so that we could provide support to children having care experiences. At the same time, we have another policy document called the Standard for Operation and Management of Residential Childcare Home 2012, which requires preparation of reintegration plan in accordance to individual needs and interest of the child, and provide opportunity for children to learn vocational skills, continue their education as per his or her age, interest, and capacity. So these are the two policy documents we have in place, and we are anticipating bylaws very soon. So in terms of advocacy and lobbying, we here in Nepal are working and advocating with the government to develop some policy or specific guidelines, including defining procedures for providing aftercare support and social reintegration of children and youth with care experiences by assigning clear responsibility to concerned agencies. B, concerned agency of the government and care service providers to develop a comprehensive action plan for ensuring further education, career development, social reintegration, and other individualized support to children and youth from alternative care settings. C, adopting measures for admission of children and young people with care experiences in different types of vocational training conducted by Center for technical education and vocational training so that their employment opportunities can be increased. And D, introduce social protection measures to children and youth from alternative care setting, as well as targeting to care leavers. And finally, government to provide technical and financial assistance to the organizations that are providing aftercare support. So these are the agenda we are advocating, and we are working with the government. Thank you.
Micro.
Not unmuted. Thank you. I think we heard that it is very important to have advocates like you. It becomes clear that we need an audience and also advocates. And now I would like to go to Zimbabwe, to Honorable Muchi Chinyanyanga, to let us know how is the situation in Africa, in your country, to support care leavers and to advocate for them. Do you hear me? I couldn't see if he is online. Otherwise, I would go to Nepal.
Hello.
Oh, you're there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Chinyanganya, a member of parliament in Zimbabwe. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. I hear you very well.
Okay, thank you. My name is Honorable Chinyanganya, Muchi Chinyanganya, from Zimbabwe. So basically what so that the welfare of is improved is Child Protection Act, which outlines how people in foster homes are taken care of. But the main challenge that we have at the moment
I couldn't hear you at the moment. I don't know how it is with the audience, if they could hear you or just me. Have interruption. Sorry, maybe we could check the technique, and I would suggest that we will go on with the last gaps we would like to present you now, and at the end we will come back to you and ask the questions I did before about policy making in Zimbabwe, and now we will go on with the next gap we would like to present about career and employability, and it is done. Nimo, maybe you could help me. Who is presenting now?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Savin, and also the Honorable Muchi and Mr. Chandrika. Thank you very much for your valuable thoughts for us. And now I just want to invite Jack from the Uganda to talk about our sixth gap, which is career and employability. Over to you, Jack.
Yes, hello members, hi. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, depending on your time zone. Call me Sabiti Jack from Uganda. I'm a caregiver working under Uganda Caregivers Project. Uganda Caregivers is a social welfare project designed to support children, youth, and adults who have spent all or part of their childhood in institutional care. that is briefly what Uganda Caregivers is. Now, I am here to discuss a very small topic, which states career support and employability. Every child or youth exiting care does not live with a long-term action plan, including a plan for career development and employment. This is very common. Organized aftercare and assign a dedicated person who will help the child or a youth in this difficult transition period. That is the recommendation that is there. So we are looking really at the problems first in the process of career support and employability. Now here we are looking at, we have done some little research with our fellow caregivers, and we have come out with these few problems and small solutions. I know this is not the only problems that may be there, but there are others that you people will try to help in, and then try to do more research to find out the best or more problems that are there. But these are the few that I've come out with. So the first one is lack of evidence-based research. We found out that there's an unknown number of caregivers exiting care facilities, meaning the size of the problem is really unknown. Nobody knows that. And then there is also another problem. We found that the dependency on donor support and interventions. We found out that most caregivers have only experienced support and funding from donors, and their donor support, and therefore this donor support is normalized. This is also a key factor here. And then we have also realized that there is a lack of support networks or community connections. Many caregivers have lost connections to family members and their community, and therefore have no support networks to help them after leaving care. They come out and they become stranded. They don't know what to do, where to go to, what to handle, and things to do. Those are the petty problems that we have found out. Then these are some of the few solutions that we have got when we did research, and we realized that caregiver support networks is really very important, and that is what is needed mostly because it helps unite caregivers together. You find that really like in Uganda caregivers, for us, we have like a network where we will meet, we communicate, like a platform. It's a WhatsApp platform. We have even a Facebook where we get to know and learn more about each other, what is happening, and how each other is moving on with their lives, so that if possible, and they're having some challenges, we can come in to help, advise, and talk, counsel, give guidance and counseling. That is it. And then another solution, we found out that there is what capacity building and life skill programs that is really necessary and is needed in the life of caregiver, because we find that when they come out, they lack the skills. They don't have anything that can make them move on. You see, you find that they come out, yes, they want to start living a life, but sometimes it becomes very difficult for them to push on because they don't have skills. They lack skills. They even lack really these programs or trainings that can help them push on with this life. And then we also realize that there's another solution. After that, we found out that there's need for strategic plan on exiting care. This is supposed to be organized by the institutions that these children or the orphans and whichever institution that take care of children, they should organize this kind of a strategic plan, so that when these kids are coming out, they have at least a plan for them. They just don't come and get stranded outside. There should be a plan that when you with us, you did this and that. So now that you're leaving, going out, we are going to do this and that for you. We're not just letting you go out and you become stranded. You don't have where to go. You have nothing to do. You don't know nothing about the world. They should first of all be taught and be groomed from inside there, that life inside here is a little difficult from life outside. So when you get out and start living in the community, you are going to experience a lot. So if you experience this is how you go about it. If you experience this is how you come over it. But if you are not taught how this, then it becomes a little bit difficult and complicated. Then we also ask governments to get involved. Here we realize that we have to hold government accountable. Finding their role in this, we realize that sometimes it becomes very complicated for our governments of different countries. They silence themselves, they keep quiet, and this doesn't work out well for us. So we really ask the government and other people to come in and then to stand with us. The government possibly should set up like a strategy, a law in the parliaments of different specific countries, so that we feel secure when we get out. We know we have some law that helps us. We have some laws, some rules that really protects us, and we shall always live happily with that. Then we realize that we should also keep community involved. Community should also be engaged with. We engage with so that they can understand the importance and of family-based care to prevent separation, unnecessary separation, and become the gatekeepers of us in the family. I mean, our gatekeepers in the families, in the society, so that they can be able to go against issues to do with separation and the rest of it. This is a brief question I'm now asking. I'm saying that how can you, me, we be part of change for caregivers? The way we can be changed, I mean, a part of this change is, one, advocate for caregivers. Whichever level you are at, whichever thing you do, really advocate for caregivers. And then there is qualified volunteers who can support with any of our aims are needed. We need this kind of people to come and help us move on. And then organizations to develop care labor support programs. These programs will always keep there, be there to keep us together, be there to help us, be there to make us move on, maybe to give us little hope that when we lost it from the other side, we can still gain that outside. For more information, I beg to stop here and then I will say that for more information about caregivers, you can email us at info@ugandacaregivers.org, or you can follow us. You can log into our website, www.ugandacaregivers.org. Thank you for listening. May God bless you.
Thank you, Jack. I must say that it was a wonderful and very informative video. Now moving to our sixth gap in declaration, which is about psychosocial support. So before I start to talk about this gap, it is very, very important for us to understand that why any child, enters in a residential care. Most often it is due to a child undergoing a traumatic experience very early in childhood. These memories remain intact with them forever and creates problem in all areas of life, be it personal, professional, social, cognitive. If proper mental healing is not provided at the right time, and if I talk about COVID, due to lack of resources, proper intervention was not provided to them, and during COVID, these experiences were relived and created more uncertainty about their life. Due to social isolation and no one to reach out for any help, their vulnerabilities intensified. Without the access to the mental health facilities, they experienced increased level of anxiety, depression, and lack of psychosocial support. We recommend that free counseling services must be available to all the caregivers, and the legal authorities should and must facilitate setting up of peer-to-peer network and support groups. Here, I would like to invite Nimu to talk about our seventh gap, which is health, nutrition, and hygiene. Over to you, Nimu.
Thanks, my sister Karishma, and you blast it. And I just want to talk a bit about the seventh gap, which is health, nutrition, and hygiene gap. So, as we know, without food, who will live? So, it's more important to see whether they have enough nutrition diet, because at the time of COVID also, the goods were too expensive. I have this experience also. So, and also the access to the medical support, which is also most important gap on the declaration. So with that input, over to you, Dr. Severin, for the next gap.
Yes, thank you, Nimo. We will skip the gap number 8, legislative, policy reforms, and awareness and identity, because I think we will discuss this with the policymakers at the end of our session, and we will now go on to the next gap, number 9. It's participation. And we will see a video, but I think maybe you could take the introduction, Karishma, who we will see now.
Yeah, so for our ninth gap, which is participation, we have Lily and Joy from Netherlands. Uh, and welcome the video representation on the gap of sixth gap, which is participation. I welcome the video from the Netherlands.
Hello everyone, my name is Joelle. I'm 21 years old and I'm a member of the Youth Welfare Forum. The Youth Welfare Forum the first reports are from 1979, and in 2012 it was founded as an NGO. The Youth Welfare Forum contains 25 member organizations, also called youth councils in the Netherlands, that are all members of the Youth Welfare Forum. The forum itself contains of three parts: the youth board, the coaches, and the coordinators. And what we do together is we plan 9 regional meetings and 1 national youth council day, but we do a lot more than that.
My name is Lily and I'm also part of the youth board. And today I'm going to talk to you a bit about participation, because currently there is quite a gap, because care leavers have a lot of potential and they can become really great resources to the system and organizations. But it only happens when their potential is fully explored and utilized through effective and also meaningful participation. We have a recommendation, and we think that care leavers should be included on every level of decision making, albeit local, regional, national, and maybe even international. And it's especially when it comes to peer groups, advocacy with authorities, and also public campaigning.
And these are some of the examples that we do in the Netherlands.
So first of all, we had a really big campaign. It was called Message in a Bottle. And we discussed with our members what were important things that they thought all the mayors of several counties in the Netherlands should know. Then we compiled them, put them in a bottle, and we shipped them to mayors all over the country. And even if they lived on the islands above the Netherlands, we brought them the bottle by plane. So that was a really cool thing.
What we also did this year is we took participation in a research on the coronavirus and what it did to the youth that are still in care, but also care leavers. And that is what you can see on the right. These are the results that we took from that research. And on the right, you have a poster about the ideal professional or ideal caretaker, which also consists the ideas of our youth.
One of the main things we do is spread awareness about the situation of people in care and also care leavers. In this case, we designed a board game about privacy for people still in care. And together with several government officials, we went ahead and played the game so that they were aware of the situation.
And last but certainly not least, oftentimes we have the honor to make a presentation. This presentation in particular, you can see me on the left and one of my colleagues on the right, where we were invited to speak at a New Year's convention to speak out our wish for this year's youth care.
And finally, we also, once a year, we organize a National Youth Day with all of our members. And there we debate about certain topics. And it's always really interesting to hear the views of several youth in care and also care leavers. So that's also something we regularly do.
And as last, we would like to thank you for listening to us, and we wish you a good day.
Thank you, Karishma and Netherlands group for the presentation. And now we have a wonderful video from German Caregivers network presented by Robin, Ruth, Ali, and Mary, covering the gap number 10, which is social network.
for me, a social network means to have people who support each other, people I can always rely on, and a group of people where I can always share the good but also the difficult times.
A social network is a group of people coming from diverse backgrounds and still having something in common. It doesn't matter what it is, but there's always things you can talk about. You know that there will always be people who understand you, even if you're different.
A social network is for me the amount of people you need in your life. Sometimes you love them and know them good. Sometimes you don't know them, but they are important for you. Like friends, like teacher, everything which is in your life and yeah.
Why are Caliber networks so important for me? First of all, they show us that we are not alone. They help us to exchange and to grow from the experience from each other. But what is really important, they cover and face the problems we have to go through while leaving care. But why I personally like Caliber networks so much is because they are made for us, not for someone else, so that we can exchange ideas and to learn from each other. And that's why I think it's so important to attend, so that we can develop our network and to improve our lives.
Caregiver networks are important to connect with other caregivers. Through the mutual exchange of first-hand experience, people who have lived or still living in child and youth care can find out how to tackle the hurdles that could be placed on you. Because it is true that every person carries his own puzzle, but it is often the same hurdles that caregivers report about. Same are different from one country to another country, and others are the same all over the world. In Caregiver Network, you are there for each other and at the same time take life experience for yourself. You get to know new people, give yourself advice and tips, and sometimes you find together the triggers for the challenges of life as a caregiver.
Caliber networks are important because of the supporting aspect, to support each other either in a mental aspect or in questions about authorities. They're important to be able to change the politics about youth welfare and to take part at decision making. Also, to be able to change the picture of the society of caregiver, or to explain what a caregiver is and what challenges caregivers are facing.
Thank you, Nimru and the German group. That was absolutely wonderful and engaging video. Thank you to all the German caregivers for that tremendous video. And it was great to see how so many of you have come together to present your viewpoint. I would like to talk about the 11th gap, which is inclusion and social protection. So the situation of young person with special needs are usually unaddressed, which results in their further exclusion. When these young adults leave the care system with lack of resources and social support, one of the biggest challenges they face is finding their own identity. The social and workplace environment is very different from what they are used to. They face discrimination and stereotyping on virtue of being brought up in the residential care, along with the global issues of gender discrimination, workplace bullying, and others. They need extra support, at least in the primitive years, that will ensure a safe and inclusive transition from the residential care to the world beyond. And so we request you all to consider the special circumstances of these young people and address their concerns through dedicated social protection measures for caregivers with a gender and ability and friendly approach. And here I would like to invite Nimu to invite our guest of honor today. Nimu, are you there?
Yeah, thank you, Karishma. And now I would like to invite Mr. Leelananda, the Deputy General Manager, Property, National and Housing Development Authority in Sri Lanka. And I just want to ask from you, like, we just want to know what political activities occur in your country to improve the rights and infrastructures for caregivers in Sri Lanka. It's my country. So, the Leelananda, over to you.
Purnima, could you put your micro on and?
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Purnima.
Hi, Dr. Selvin. Thank you so much. Great. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from India. Am I audible?
Could be a little bit louder if it's possible.
Am I audible now?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from India. I am Purnima Jindal, youth focal from SOS Children's Villages in Asia region. First of all, many congrats. Hello.
I think you could go on. I don't know. Yes.
First of all, many congratulations to all our young caregivers for presenting the declaration so beautifully. These are the pressing needs of caregivers from across the world, and today, because of this COVID-19 pandemic, it is more important than ever that we streamline our initiatives in preparing caregivers for a successful transition. So today I'll be sharing our learning from one of the study that we at SOS Children's Villages in Asia conducted with our member associations to learn the impact of COVID-19 on our young people and how they are coping with it. Can I have the next slide, please? Yes, thank you. So yes, this was an online survey which was available in 4 languages: English, Bhasa, Thai, and Vietnamese, and was conducted in between the period of 15 June to 15 July 2020. 728 young people between the age group of 14 to 24 years participated in the survey. We also reached out to some of the volunteers who were supporting our young people during this difficult times in developing their skills. 93 volunteers comprising of corporate volunteers and also SOS educators responded to this survey. Next slide, please. Great. So now let us look at some of the key findings of this survey, which will throw light on a lot many different aspects and possibilities of supporting the young people who are residing in our care. Next slide, please. So the first one which I would like to share is around the fear and apprehensions that crept in due to this COVID-19 pandemic. As you can see in the graph, it is clearly visible that almost all the young people who responded to this survey were worried about something or other. And if we see clearly, like, most of them were worried about their health conditions, like they were worried about being infected from this virus. Secondly, major concern was regarding the education and the examination and semesters being delayed. So many young people were appearing for their board examinations, due to which everything had to stop because of the lockdown measures those were imposed across the countries and across various locations. So in all, we see that almost all of them were worried. We also see young people being considerate about the overall situation in their country, and they were worried about the health and poverty and other related aspects in their communities as well. Next slide, please. Yes, so this comes as one of the important challenges as the world went digital because of COVID-19 pandemic. It was really important to get connected virtually, but the availability or the connectivity issues existed with everyone, especially with the young people. So the research finding also highlighted the similar thing. 21% of the young people mentioned that they could attend their online classes only as per the arrangements. 39% shared that they had access to common desktop. There was no separate arrangement for them, of course. And there were still 14% young people who had almost negligible internet access. Next slide, please. Yes. So, what difficulties COVID-19 brought, specific in terms of developing skills for our young people, because they were stopped. They were not allowed to go out of the premises, and they had to be confined at their locations. So they were supposed to uh, cope with the situation by attending virtual courses. And here we see that most of our young people were attending English classes, as we really focus a lot on developing their communication and English skills. Also, young people were attending various computer courses, and it was really important for them to understand the COVID situation. So they logged in and attended many other computer courses as well. Here we see that only 17% were attending employability skills training program, which was really important to scale up. As in one of the graph, you can see that when we asked them to self-introspect about the employability skills, and the young people could rate their employability skills somewhere around average to good. So there lies immense scope for them to improve their employability skills, to make them more employable, so that they don't face any challenges when they are actually exiting care and starting their independent lives. Also, if we see the training platforms, Skype was the most preferred training platform that was used by the young people, followed by the course provider website, of course, and Youth Links is one of the SOS internal online platform, which was also utilized widely. Next slide, please. Yes, so at SOS Children's Villages, we always pay very much emphasis on listening to the voices of young people, and herein also we thought of understanding what exactly they would like to share during this time, and we learned that almost, even despite all these challenges, young people were positive about their future. They definitely missed going out. They suggested that face-to-face trainings are better, but they were still positive. They were taking up virtual classes and courses. Of course, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, wearing masks, social distancing, frequent hand wash were some of the lifestyle changes that came up. We also asked from our young people about what could bring a better tomorrow in their own countries. And as we see in the result in the graph, that 50% wanted a better healthcare reforms because they were really worried about the healthcare situation in their country. Also, 35% wanted better economic reforms because they were concerned around having a good job and economic situation post this pandemic. Next slide, please. Great. So here we see how our young people were leading their way against COVID-19 pandemic, and you can see a range of activities wherein they were involved. So it was attending virtual classes, reading books, attending virtual hobby classes, and also helping their mothers. Social media was also one of the part wherein young people were engaged and were trying to keep themselves happy and engaged. So they also were receiving face masks for their communities and distributed in nearby communities to help the underprivileged people to to safeguard from this pandemic. So these were some of the key findings of the survey that we conducted, and based on that, we have some recommendations for the young people who are planning to leave care in this COVID-19 era. Can we have the next slide, please? Next slide. Thank you. So there could definitely be many suggestions and many recommendations, but we have prioritized 5 key recommendations here. The first one being ensuring mental health and well-being. Second is about developing employability skills. Third, developing partnerships and networks. Fourth, accessing digital tools for education continuity. And the last one, we talk about participating actively. Next slide, please. Yes. So when we say ensuring mental health and well-being, it was really important to learn the effect of COVID-19 on health and economy and how better we can bounce back. And we should not be just considering the fake news around us, but young people should move forward and learn themselves about the impact and challenges. It is recommended that young people engage in sports activity, yoga sessions, so that they ensure their mental well-being. Psychological first aid training is also recommended, and it is also recommended that the young people should seek support if needed. The second recommendation was around accessing digital tools for education continuity. And yes, it is really important that they have access to a high-speed broadband connection so that they can do their online learning and complete various courses and also go for digital literacy. The third key aspect was developing employability skills and entrepreneurship skills both. So young people should keep a check on the rising and falling industries and the effect on the same during this pandemic. As you can see, some of the rising and falling star industries mentioned here also in this graph. So of course, you should keep a track on that, and you should take your career or education choices based on those industries. You can explore more entrepreneurship opportunities as well moving forward. Career guidance sessions, webinars, these are some of the things you need to keep a track on. Also consider reskilling yourself if required. There was one statement from one of the young girl in SOS Philippines that she said, "I'm in second year of hotel administration course. The sector is one of the worst affected by pandemic. In case sector do not revive, I will have to go for alternative options." So yes, you should be be more enterprising in choosing to reskill yourself as per the changes that is coming up in the communities after this COVID-19 pandemic. The next point was participate actively, prepare yourself, your own living care plan, and keep a check on all the activities that will help you transition better. Support COVID-19 responses in your communities, participate or lead any youth initiatives in your community. And the last one was developing partnerships and networks, connect with government relief program and aware related benefits, connect with industry mentors to develop relevant market skills. So yes, these were some of the recommendations that we put together for our young people. Of course, I've been saying that young people should do this, that, because they should have the rights to decide about their lives. But we know that they cannot do it alone. As adults, as states, we are responsible for supporting them and making them contributing members of the society. So thank you so much, and many congratulations for the declaration, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Purnima. And now I just want to move to Mr. Nilananda again. We are really sorry for that. And Mr. Nilananda, and now I will invite you to introduce yourself and share your points on
Yes,
what
actually,
political activities.
sorry that for my connection is disconnected. But now, can you hear now?
Yeah.
Hello.
We can hear.
Yeah, we can hear. I heard your question asking from me. First of all, I would like to thank Nilu Gunasekar and Nimmu for inviting for me for this forum. According to the questions, as a government of Sri Lanka and National Housing Development Corporations, continuing several housing programs for low-income people and middle-income people and upper-middle-income peoples targeting. But we are not targeting to care leavers. Therefore, I also discussed with Chairman, and he is so happy to help with care leavers. Then, therefore, we have to arrange the meeting with SOS and Department of Probation and Child Services, Child Care Services. Then we can implement the new program for caregivers in 2021. Then we are happy to help to them, and we can work with together, because of our housing programs is mainly target low-income people and lower middle-income people. And then care leavers also, we have contribute to NSDA. We are putting the grant housing program is 600,000 per house, and their own house in their lands. Without lands, we can collaborate with divisional secretaries. We can allocate the land, the parcel of land, and grant allowed to care leavers. Then always we are happy to join with you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, we left Mr. Muchi Chinyanyanga from Zimbabwe, so we couldn't invite him now to talk to us. But Karishma, will you go on further with the next question?
Yeah, so before I go to the next question, first of all, I would like to thank Mr. H.H. Linyanda from Sri Lanka. Thank you so much, sir, for your views. And now I invite a video from Jordan.
أنا اسمي إبراهيم خالد، عمري 32 سنة، إحدى خريجين دور رعاية الأيتام. راح أحكي عن موضوع كتير مهم اللي هو الدعم النفسي الاجتماعي، اللي أكثر شبابنا افتقدوه في داخل الجمعية حتى خارجها بعد التخرج، بسبب إنه ما في كان كادر مؤهل إنه يساعدهم ويدمجهم مع المجتمع ويفهمهم إنه في صعوبات بده يواجهها في هذا المجتمع. فراح احكي لكم عن تجربه شخصيه. انا لما كان عمري 18 سنه طلعت من الجمعيه، في كثير شغلات كانت ناقصتني وما كنت بعرفها وما بعرف كيف اتصرف فيها، بسبب انه ما في كان اشخاص يساعدوني في هذا الاشي، وكلهم من تجارب شخصيه حتى تعلمت كيف اندمج مع هذا المجتمع. فنصيحتي او الاشي اللي انا بحب انه يكون موجود داخل الجمعيات، انه يكون في اشخاص قادرين انهم يساعدوا الشباب على فهم الواقع، وفهم انهم مش عايشين بالمدينة الفاضلة، في صعوبات بدهم يواجهوها وبدهم مساعدة فيها، ويفهموا انه في ناس انهم هم من جمعيات ايتام وتربوا فيها، ولازم يواجهوا هذا المجتمع ويطلعوا من المؤسسة من دون خوف، وفي بإيدهم يكون أسلحة فكرية أو مهنية تقدر تساعدهم حتى يواجهوا هذا المجتمع اللي إحنا بنعيش فيه. خصوصا إحنا في مجتمع شرقي مهم كثير اللي هي العائلة، مهم كثير العلاقات الاجتماعية. فهذا الإشي بيجي مع التدريب والتأهيل.
مرحبا، أنا كتير مهمة اللي هي نقطة الدمج المجتمعي. وراح أذكر قصة شخصية أنا عشتها. أنا بعد ال 18 حسب القانون اللي بالأردن يفترض إني أنا أتخرج من دار الرعاية اللي أنا كنت فيها. اتخرجت والتحقت بدبلوم تدريبي وخلصته، وما كان كافي لحتى أقدر أكون إنسانة مستقلة. يعني فعليا ما قدرت إني أنا أحصل على وظيفة، ما كان في لا سكن، لا ما في رعاية لاحقة بالمفهوم، يعني كامل ما كان في رعاية لاحقة أو رعاية مقدمة لإلي. فعليا أنا كنت بالشارع، ما كنت عارفة بالضبط وين يفترض أتوجه أو وين لازم أنا أروح. فبعدين سمعت من زملائي، يعني من ناس حوالي، إنه في سكينة هي ممكن تقدم لي مساعدة بإنه أنا وضعي يكون أفضل، أو تقدم لي مساعدة بالإشي اللي أنا رح أحتاجه. توجهت لهم، خبرتهم إني أنا حابة أكمل ثانوية عامة، كانوا شهادة الثانوية العامة هي رح تكون أقوى لإني أقدر أنا أشتغل. خلصت حاليا أنا هلا جامعة، طالبة جامعة. اللي أنا الرسالة اللي أنا بدي أوصلها إنه يفترض يكون في قوانين موجودة تحمي حقوقنا، قوانين إحنا نقدر نطالب فيها.
أنا اسمي سيف سعيد، أنا أحد خريجين دور رعاية الأيتام. اليوم راح أحكي عن نقطة أو صعوبة تواجهنا كثير كبيرة، اللي هي غياب القوانين والتشريعات. شو قصدت فيها بعامية؟ يعني إنه أنا عن تجربة شخصية، إني أنا لما كنت داخل دور الرعاية ما كنت حاسس في الأمان، ولا حاسس إنه أنا إذا ضليت هون راح أتخرج أو يكون في إلي شيء بيحميني. فأنا قبل ما يوصل السن القانوني اللي هو للتخرج اتخذت خطوة من شخصية، إني أنا طلعت قبل ما يصير سني القانوني عشان أنا من نفسي أحاول أأمن لحالي البيئة اللي بدي أشعر فيها بالأمان، وطلعت قبل السن القانوني. خلال طلعتي من السن قبل السن القانوني برضه ما حدا سأل، ولا في قانون بيحميني، ولا في قانون رجعني، ولا أي شيء. وحتى لما طبقت السن القانوني برضه ما كان في متابعة ولا في أي شيء. فأنا برأيي شو الحل المشكلة هاي لأغلبية اللي معاني منه، إنه هاي المشكلة كثير كبيرة. الحل إنه يكون في ناس أصحاب قرار أو يعني ذو سلطة إنهم يقدروا يحددوا هاي الأشياء منا أو منا أو ناس مختصين في قضايانا، يوصلوا هاي الأشياء أو يسلطوا عليها الضوء للناس، أو تقدر هيك، عشان ما تكون بس يعني تكون قوانين مش فزعة، يكون إشي موثق، وإنه إحنا هاي الخطوات أو هاي القوانين لازم نمشي عليها وتطبق.
Thank you, Jordan, for that wonderful video representation. Now I invite Mr. Joseph Koch, Managing Director, German National Section of FISE, and Advisor, German Federal Ministry of Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Women and Youth. Sir, we would like to know your views and also something on what could be done on an international level to push the representation of interests of care leavers. Over to you, Mr. Koch.
Oh, sorry, yes, now. Okay, let me start again. Let me start, okay. Thank you. First, let me speak about some attempts to support the recommendations of the International Care Leaver Convention. In Germany, we joined it's called National Coalition. The National Coalition in Germany is a network of 100 organizations and initiatives for the Convention of the Rights of the Child. And in Germany, it is possible, you know, the government is doing a report for the UN committee. But in Germany, there is used that there is an alternative report from the NGOs. And we joined this group and pointed out and introduced the care leaver theme in this report. And nowadays, in the report of the UN committee, there is a part dealing with care leaver. And this is a possibility to bring up it in another floor to make it visible, the issues in this convention. Or a second, we try to set up international seminars with care leavers and politicians. And maybe this is possible with FIZE too. FIZE is our umbrella organization, to fit together in these seminars care leaver from different countries. We do 3 conferences like that with politicians, not only from the EU. And maybe it's more than is possible to get together to speak about possibilities of financial support, housing, and so on. It's like sort of pressure group like that. And yeah, and FIZE International, you know, it's an umbrella organization with more than 40 countries. This is a working group on this, and I think it's possible to work with FIZE and other organizations like SOS International, even in the foster care, like IFCO and so on. Then we can do things together and put these recommendations into action. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. We know that there are also on an international level activities which we can use for our interests. And now I would invite Mr. Chandrika Chativada, Director, Institute for Legal Research and Consultancy in Nepal, to give us a final short statement about his views on advocating on an international level. Mr. Chativada, I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Thank you very much. So I'll fully support, Joseph's view that so in Nepal also we have 2021 is due for our CRC reporting, so we can include the recommendation, the issues raised by this convention into that process. So and then, we can explore some other opportunities where we can lobby at international level. So back in Nepal, so we have, this 2018 Children's Act at federal level, and provincial government are in the process of developing Children's Act for their particular provinces. So it is the right time to influence these processes with the issues and recommendation of children with care experiences and the care leavers into that process. And I would like to share that the federal level Children's Act 2018 has designated authority for a child, for managing alternative care of children, as well as some other, children's agenda as child welfare authority. And that authority to be deployed in all 753 municipalities and rural municipalities across the country. So there is an opportunity we can influence with this process, and the process is ongoing. And also in this 2018 Children's Act, we have put focus on family-based alternative care models. So it is a policy shift in itself. So that process also, and as I said, talk earlier, so the forthcoming regulation, we can define some procedural guidelines, we can elaborate some of the provisions of the Act, and then we can provide some sort of, support, aftercare support to the children and youth with care experiences. And also one thing is that organizations like SOS Children's Villages in Nepal are working with selected local municipalities for creating models on localized effort for supporting children and youth in care setting, as well as the care leavers. So this would also give some, ideas for us back home in Nepal to influence the policy making process. And also finally, I would like to support the recommendation and would highlight that care leavers required to provide psychosocial support and assistance from social worker when they are in need. B, encourage caregivers to have peer-to-peer network and support groups among themselves. And C, provide opportunity to children and youth in care settings to be engaged in decision-making processes, particularly in local level and sub-national level, and as relevant at national level as well, so that their day-to-day reality could be addressed in policy formulation process, and their life could be supported in well and systematic manner. So thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Since we are running out of time, I would wrap up here. I'm sure many of us had a lot to take back from this session. We hope that our voices will be recognized and will not go unheard. Thank you to all the esteemed panelists and attendees and my fellow moderators and the people behind the screens throughout. Thank you so much to all of you for listening to us.
Thank you, Karishma. And thank you everyone for those powerful voices, messages, exceptionally informative presentations, and sharing your viewpoint on the significance of education, employability, psychosocial support, and firm policies needed for care leavers to enhance and nurture their lives. Today, I can certainly say, as a care leaver, I am feeling more supported than ever. And I hope my fellow care leavers from across the world are echoing my sentiments. Please do drop in your thoughts in the chat box. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the question box. Now we will have a break for 10 minutes. Please come back in time to participate in the breakout sessions. When we come back, we will have 5 breakout sessions. These sessions will happen on a regular Zoom meeting. The link has been shared on your chat box. Please join back in 10 minutes to be a part of the breakout sessions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And for those who would not like to have a break, you could have a look at the exhibition hall. There's a lot of content which you also could use and take. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.